This is Fat to Fierce. Welcome to the Confidence Chronicles. I'm your host, Amy English. Join me on this empowering adventure towards a healthier relationship with food, body, and self, one delicious bite at a time. Welcome to episode 15 of the Confidence Chronicles. I'm so glad you're here, and I hope you're having a good week so far. So let's dive in, shall we? All right, we've all been there. Reaching for ice cream after a tough day, or mindlessly munching on chips while feeling bored. This is emotional eating. Using food to cope with difficult emotions like stress, sadness, anxiety, or even boredom. Because yes, using food to escape the feeling of boredom is a form of emotional eating. The problem is, emotional eating doesn't truly address those feelings and can actually lead to unhealthy relationships with both food and ourselves. In previous episodes of the Confidence Chronicles, we explored the power of food language and we talked about how to rewrite your food story. In today's episode, let's explore what happens when you break free from the cycle of emotional eating and cultivate a more mindful and positive way of relating to food. At a point in my life, I didn't think it was possible to change the way I was with food. I thought stress eating was just part of my identity. I described myself as a stress eater. It's something I thought I had to live with and find ways to work around. That's why I would ask my husband to hide food from me. I asked him to lock the Girl Scout cookies in the basement, and I also asked him to hide the Halloween candy from me. I remember one time when he was traveling for work, I tore the house apart looking for the candy that I asked him to hide. I begged him to tell me where the candy was. And he refused. He said that if I wanted candy, I would have to go to the store and buy some. But I couldn't do that because at the time our kids were little and they were sleeping. So I continued to search for the candy to no avail. I share this story because in the beginning, it was really hard to imagine not stress eating. So today, I want to paint that picture and offer a sense of possibility. What happens when you begin exploring your relationship with food? What happens when you overcome emotional eating? What does it look like, feel like, and sound like? Just imagine for a second a world where food is no longer your enemy or your frenemy. Picture yourself having a newfound sense of peace and freedom around food. The truth is, overcoming emotional eating isn't just about what you eat. It's about a profound transformation that impacts your entire life. Let's dive into some of the incredible benefits that await you on this journey. So first, there is freedom from food fixation. Ever have one of those days when certain foods feel like they have a mind of their own or a power all their own? For me, it was leftover pizza. No matter how full I was or what time of the day it was, that leftover box in the fridge would burn a hole in my brain. It's like I couldn't focus on anything else until I finished it all, even though I knew I'd regret it later. Because that shame cycle was real. I would beat myself up, but then do the same thing over again the next time there was leftover pizza or any other favorite food. But here's the amazing thing. When I started paying attention to my thoughts and my body, the whole food fixation thing began to shift. I started eating more mindfully, and it became a game changer. Mindful eating is all about ditching the autopilot and tuning into your body's signals. It is the shift from riding in the passenger seat to taking the wheel on your own journey. And it helps to ask yourself some questions. And you may want to grab something to take notes with. Here are the questions. Am I truly hungry, or am I reaching for food because of emotions like stress or boredom? How is my body feeling? Am I truly empty or just a little snacky? What function will this food serve? Is it nourishing fuel for my body or a delicious treat? Mindful eating is all about being present and paying attention. And this frees you from food obsession and replaces it with a healthy, intentional approach to nourishing your body. Okay, next, food cravings loosen their grip. So this is the next benefit to overcoming emotional eating. Does it ever feel like certain foods have an irresistible force? For me, it was chocolate. I'd swear I could hear it calling my name from across the room. It felt completely out of my control. It's almost like I was under a spell, drawn to the chocolate with no power to resist. And this was all consuming, and I genuinely believed I wouldn't be able to function if I didn't give in. But here's the magic of truly understanding your relationship with food. The cravings gradually lose power, and food doesn't have the control it once seemed to have. It's almost like a spell slowly starting to break. Like, that's what it feels like. You begin to recognize the cravings for what they are, often emotional triggers or simply a desire for a particular taste or texture. The awareness helps you make a conscious choice. You decide if you want to indulge in the craving, which puts you in charge. Another benefit of overcoming emotional eating is that you can get through situations without turning to food. So food is often used as a coping mechanism. We know this. Have you ever reached for comfort food after a long day? Yeah, same. For me, stress was always a major trigger. Food felt like a warm hug, a way to numb the overwhelm. That's why I gained 30 pounds in the first month of my breast cancer diagnosis. I was stuffing down the fear, anxiety, and stress that came with facing a really scary situation. But emotional eating doesn't truly address those feelings. It just adds a layer of guilt on top of everything. And since eating doesn't help to address or process the feelings, they stay stuck inside with nowhere to go. Eventually, they come back. Until we learn to allow the feelings, this cycle continues. There are healthier ways to cope with tough situations and emotions, and the first step is recognizing the triggers that lead to emotional eating. All that means is understanding the feelings that lead you to look for food. And as you do this work and develop healthier coping mechanisms to manage stress and other negative emotions, food stops being the go-to. The next benefit to overcoming emotional eating is you notice the shifts happening. Change doesn't have to be dramatic to be powerful. It often starts with subtle shifts that you might not even notice at first. But over time, these small changes add up to a big transformation. Here's what I experienced. The constant battle with food started to ease up. It wasn't this overwhelming, all-consuming thing anymore. There was more space between emotional eating episodes. So what used to be an almost daily occurrence shifted to weekly and then monthly. And when emotional eating did happen, it was less intense. I wasn't consuming as much food. I was able to stop myself sooner. And instead of mindlessly finishing the entire pint of ice cream, I might just have a few bites and feel satisfied. This was empowering, as you may be able to imagine. And last but not least, let's talk about reclaimed time and energy and focus. This benefit is my favorite. You're probably familiar with the constant internal battle with food. I remember it well. It's that struggle to resist cravings and the guilt after overeating. Yeah. Well, overcoming emotional eating means breaking free from that cycle. This was like a weight lifting off my shoulders. And suddenly I had all this mental space and emotional energy I never even realized I was lacking. Let's take a second. Just think about all the time and energy that is consumed by food. There's the planning, constantly thinking about what to eat next, what was good or bad, and strategizing meals. Then the cravings, battling intense urges and mustering the willpower to resist them. I said that very dramatically. And how about the guilt cycle? Feeling shame and guilt after overeating, which only leads to more emotional eating. Imagine what you could do with all that time and energy back. For me, this meant there was more time to focus on the things I actually enjoy, like reading, journaling, exercise. It also meant deeper connections because I had more mental space to nurture my relationships with loved ones and with myself. And this also meant increased confidence. I felt better about myself, which impacted every area of my life, including my work as a life coach. I was suddenly more productive. Reclaiming this time, energy, and focus was about rediscovering pleasure and joy. And by the way, this is a perfect segue into what we discussed in episode 10 of the Confidence Chronicles, how cultivating more joy and pleasure in your life can be a key to overcoming emotional eating. And this also helps when finding healthier coping mechanisms as opposed to relying on food. So you may want to go listen to that one again. All right, overall, overcoming emotional eating had a ripple effect on my entire life. It wasn't just about food. It was about reclaiming my energy, my focus, and my ability to fully experience a joyful life after decades of being at battle. So after listening to all of this today, can you imagine a life where food is no longer your enemy or your frenemy, but instead just a powerful resource? A life where you have the tools to navigate stress, boredom, and other challenging emotions without resorting to emotional eating? The truth is, you do not have to be at the mercy of food cravings or locked in a constant battle with your body. Change is possible. As we've explored today, overcoming emotional eating is a journey filled with both challenges and incredible rewards. Here's the good news. You're not alone. Millions of people struggle with emotional eating, and millions more have found freedom on the other side, myself included. In this episode, we have just scratched the surface. We've talked about the power of mindful eating, how to identify and address triggers, and the incredible benefits of reclaiming your time and energy. But there is so much more to discover. If you're ready to break free from emotional eating and cultivate a healthier relationship with food, I encourage you to listen to this episode again and the other one mentioned today, any of the other episodes in the Confidence Chronicles. There is a wealth of information and practical strategies to support you on your journey. And be sure to subscribe to this podcast. We'll continue to explore different aspects of mindful eating and emotional well-being in future episodes. And reach out, leave a comment, connect with me on social media, or send an email to amy@amyenglishcc.com. I would love to hear your story and answer any questions you might have. Remember, you have the power to create a positive change in your relationship with food. And I invite you to take that first step today. Are you ready to take control of your eating, embrace your body, and boost your confidence? Then let's get fierce. Start your Fat to Fierce journey today. Go to amyenglishcc.com for more resources and to book your discovery call.